listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
All right, here we go. The new year. Somebody pointed out that the new year it's kind of depressing because it's 2022, as in like 2020, TOO.
2020 all over again?
Yeah.
Looks like
not
they're
that
not wrong.
2021 was all that much better, to be honest. I'm having a hard time distinguishing between 2021 and 2020.
Yeah, I've had a lot of that too, for sure.
It's so weird, like when you can't remember, like, when did this happen or when did we do that, and because like the last 2 years are such a blur, and things that feel like, oh, that was just 6 months ago, and in actuality it was like 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like I'm finding that a lot. Like I'm having a hard time placing when events happened.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time just having motivation to even go outside my door right now. So
yeah, I mean, we taped this podcast a week ahead of its release, and I'm finding that like things are so changeable week to week that it feels like, oh, should we talk about this or should we talk about that? Because like the world will be different next week, and we can't predict how it will be or what it will
feels
be.
like we're mailing a letter home because you don't know what, you're like, this is what's happening at this very moment. I'm dropping it in the mail. I don't know what it'll be like in another week. Yeah.
Letter to our future selves. We did not get together for...
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking
about how we were going to see each other in person for the first time. How hopeful we were. That's nice.
Oh, we were such different people then.
Such different people.
Remember us a week ago? Those cockeyed optimists, we were ready for anything.
Sure were. I mean, and that's the thing, like, I don't know. I mean, I've never been like a resolutions person. Like this episode will be out a couple days before New Year's Eve. I've never been really a resolutions person. I've always been kind of like let's like maybe set some intentions.
Yes.
But like I've never like resolved to do anything really. And I gotta say, I think like that's the best way to move into 2022, is like I will set some intentions to try to remember, to find joy every day in something, and like be as hopeful as possible, et cetera, et cetera. Try to hold on to those things, but with the sort of like absolute changeability of everything in this moment, I'm gonna try and just be like loosey goosey. I'm not gonna be rigid.
Yeah. There'd be no point in being rigid. That's for sure.
I'm also finding that I'm more like, oh, I'm just gonna enjoy today, because who knows like what we are gonna know tomorrow, what tomorrow is gonna be like. So I'm more trying to focus on like, oh, I'm just going to enjoy this afternoon, like, or this evening. And
yeah. I feel the same way. I don't even want to look forward to something because I don't know what to look forward to because it could change. So
yeah.
Yet at the same time, I'm a person that really likes to have plans. I love plans.
Oh, me too. Oh my God.
I love looking forward to certain things. I like phoning people, and kind of drives me crazy if I say to someone, hey, well, let's do this. And they're like, well, I don't know what I'm doing that day. And I go, yes, you will. You'll be seeing me if you say yes. What does that mean? But that's so far away. No, that's not the point. The point is just.
I think that's a Vancouver thing though.
Yeah.
Like people in Vancouver are so non-committal about everything.
But like we're three people who commit, and we are all from here. So I don't know that it's a Vancouver thing. That's like, I don't know. I think that's like maybe it's a coastal, like a broader coastal attitude than like just Vancouver.
There was an actual article I read once about how you can give yourself more, what's the word I'm looking for? Your vacation that you plan further along, you get more money out of it because you've had the days to look forward to it. The planning, the cruising on the internet to like what restaurants will I go to, all of that. you actually factor into the vacation, because the vacation itself might only be 2 weeks. But you can get 4 months of enjoyment out of it.
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I read this thing once about like how like the benefits of a vacation for most people are just the anticipation and planning of the vacation. The actual vacation is kind of stressful because you have to go through, whatever travel and you're making sure like you make your reservations, you're making sure you don't get lost or whatever. Like there's a lot of stress involved with the actual travel. And like the sort of wellness benefits people get out of a vacation are actually mostly in the anticipation.
Right. Yeah. Talking about it, thinking about it. When anything seems kind of crappy at work, you're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Next week I'll be on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something to talk about, something. I love having things to look forward to.
I do too. And I also, I am obsessed with planning. So like I am highly scheduled. You both know that I can tell you like what I'm likely doing 6 months from now. I am constantly sending us schedules about planning out episodes.
I have
weeks
such
and weeks in advance.
respect for that because I am not like that. I don't mind to have a plan, but I'm not going to promise you that I'll remember.
That's so true, actually.
But like I just and so still trying to like give myself that give myself those plannable things and yet create all this elasticity around them is has been interesting. I think though that like I think that there is something good about just for me personally, like becoming more flexible and not like in a stretch to groin kind of way, but like in an actual, although that would be great too. I really do need to like just do some pelvic floor exercises. But like, yeah, I think like just really like, I don't know, not being so tied to the specifics of something, but like living a little tiny bit more in the moment.
Right. Yeah. Actually, our conversation does segue.
I know. And I was just going to say, living in the moment, these people, my God.
Yeah. You got to leave some things up to chance, right? You don't know. If you're too planned, you don't leave anything,
If you're too planned, you end up married to a new age clarinet player.
I'd like that embroidered on a pillow.
I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. It's our New Year's Eve sort of edition, kind of. The last episode of 2021, we think.
That's right.
Because maybe 2021 just goes on forever.
We don't know. Forever.
I mean, fill in the blank, whatever year you want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. But we are just like looking fondly ahead at 2022 with, I don't know,
I can't believe this is the way we're ending 2021 with this movie.
And I want to apologize.
Yeah.
So
no one, we can see each other's faces, but there was a definite face there.
Yeah. And I want to apologize because I did this to us.
This is what planning gets you, people. If you plan too far into the future, you see.
Yeah.
This is where it gets you. So I stumbled upon how this movie came out in 2001 and it had like a Christmas adjacent sort of, whatever. And I hated this movie in 2001. But we've gone through lots of movies that I used to fundamentally despise because of like lots of different things. And sometimes I come around and sometimes I don't, as all of us have done throughout this podcast, I think. And I thought
those were good movies like Sound of Music.
Well, I never despised it. I just had never seen it.
Yes.
Like that's different. But
Right.
I thought, you know what? I've come around on like rom-coms. Like not all of them, but I've come around on rom-coms. Like I've evolved since 2001, which is cool. That's great. Let's just give this a try and see where it's at. There's a reason no one really celebrated the 20th anniversary of this film. No
Thank you for
one.
letting us have to figure that out for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
I am so sorry. I did not, like, honestly, from the opening, this movie kicks off with, like, a joke that is absolutely transphobic. Then it goes into, like, some, like, sort of gay stereotype humor, and it continues to pick at that thread for a while.
Have we even said the name yet?
No, but I'll get to it. Just give me 1
Okay.
second. Sorry.
Because that could be almost anything sometimes. So.
I know, especially 2001.
Yeah.
Then it gets into a little, like, fat shaming. Anyway, and they have the nerve on the poster of this film to have the tagline, Destiny with a sense of humor.
What?
Did anyone laugh? Really?
What was funny
like,
about
at any
this
point
movie?
in this movie?
No.
No, not like a good laugh. Like
No.
more like a... That.
So we're talking about Serendipity.
Kate Beckinsale and John
Cusack.
Yeah, I can't believe you wanted to end the year with a John Cusack movie.
You know, again, I have no one but myself to blame, but I thought, okay, what's the 20th anniversary? Let's not do a 21st anniversary of this movie because it's not good enough. I knew that it wouldn't be good enough to warrant like one of our off-year explorations of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just feels like, you know, it's been a while where we've been building towards like sort of a reckoning of our feelings towards John Cusack movies, and it just you chose like our final episode of 2021 for us to just tackle it.
It's kind of fair. It kind of makes sense, though. I mean, it's been a year of a whimper. Why not end the whimper year with a whimper film? You know,
A whimper of a film. You're right. It's God, yeah. Anyway, all right. So I can't even believe I'm going to say this, though. I'm just like, I know that we have to like background and synopsis, and there's really not much to say about either of them because, again, no one really cares about this movie for the most part. But like, as much as I vehemently hated it in 2001, now I'm just like, nah, it's not good. But I don't, but like, I don't hate it. Like, I don't like it. It's aged very poorly. But the hatred that I really felt for it in 2001, it's left my body.
Yeah, I have a flat line toward it. Very meh.
Yeah.
I don't like, you know, like a meal that you had at some middling restaurant that you're never going to remember, but, you know, you were slightly satisfied by.
But so, A-Dubs, did you see this movie in theaters in 2000? Wow.
I sure did.
Oh.
Why, though? You didn't like rom-coms at that point.
I didn't, but I thought I liked John Cusack back in the day. And I decided, I remember going to see it in theaters with my friend Emily. And Emily and I are still friends today. And we left
the film didn't kill that, so that's
the film
good.
didn't. No, the film actually, because we both hated it with such a passion that it actually like, I mean, I think it really like reaffirmed our friendship. You know, it was, God, it was awful. And yeah, it's I saw it in the theater though, and and I remember carrying my dislike for it for years. Then I forgot it existed, and then earlier this year I came across it again.
Well, so it's just like it's doubly your fault that I've seen this movie twice now, because the first time I saw it was when I'd never even heard of this movie until you went to New York and you talked about how you went to this Serendipity restaurant and they sat you at the Serendipity table and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what does that even mean? I don't even know what you're talking about. And you like explained the whole thing to me. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I have to see this movie.
Oh my God.
This is like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I watched it and it was terrible. And then you programmed it on our podcast. So I had to watch it again.
Yeah. I I have a very similar experience because I did go to the restaurant as well. I did not ask specifically for the Serendipity table, so I don't know. But I did go to the restaurant.
They gave it to us. They
Oh, well, I did not.
Said,
I just went to the restaurant and I ate. Oh, really? That's what.
They were like, "You're in love. Go sit at the Serendipity table."
Wow, that's the restaurant's like thing now, I guess.
It is. Sorry,
it's a fun
Lisa,
restaurant
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but it's a fun restaurant to go to. Anyway,
it is. It's a really fun restaurant to go to.
But
really
did two of you specifically go to that restaurant
No.
because it's the Serendipity restaurant?
No. I'd heard it other ways, and I can't remember where I'd heard of it or why, but no, I think it's because it's got this crazy menu and
the famous frozen hot chocolate. Like that's what everyone sort of goes for.
Which I had. So plus a half a chicken. So
the portions are wild, right?
Yeah, they are.
I went with the intention of getting the frozen hot chocolate, and then I saw it in person at someone else's table, and I was just like, I don't think it's gonna make me happy, and I'm really hungry. And you know what? They got like challah French toast on the menu, so I'm gonna go French toast, and that's what I did.
It was.
And
good.
I didn't regret it.
I don't regret it. I mean, there are quite a few good restaurants in New York City. Let's be honest.
Yeah, like Serendipity's not like good, but it's a marvel.
It's it's a spectacle to go to. Yeah, and it looks cool inside too.
It is, yeah. And they've got a lot of like candy and like patisserie kind of stuff, like
and the stairs going up and
you have to go up the stairs to get to the Serendipity table.
Yes, I remember because we
will
saw
say,
that in this movie.
Oh yeah. Their Christmas decorations, great.
I bet.
And it's gone like hardcore Christmas decorations, I think, since this film came out, because the film is so associated with Christmas.
Do they sell black cashmere gloves in the?
That would be smart.
That would be smart, but they do not.
Yeah.
They do not. Yeah. No tie-ins. Well, I'm so sorry that like I apologize, AG, that you've watched this now twice because of me. Lisa, I'm so glad that we both shared the experience of going there. That's nice.
Yeah, me too.
Nice.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
It's the only thing I like about the film, really, is like the New York sort of exteriors. Because I love New York at Christmas. And I love New York.
the Waldorf Astoria. Who doesn't want to think about that?
Did you know that they only filmed the exteriors at Waldorf? They filmed the interiors in Toronto at the Fairmont.
Yeah, I was gonna say it didn't seem like grand enough to be.
Yeah, it was. It was not. Anyway,
it seemed too small.
Let's
do a little background. It's very short. I'll happily read it. Serendipity is a 2001 American romantic comedy film. I gotta say, light on both, guys. Directed by Peter Chelsom, written by Mark Klein, and starring John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale. The film grossed $77.5 million on a $28 million budget. It made so much money. And that is from Wikipedia.
Wow. All right, well, I'll take on the synopsis from Time Out magazine. English Rose Sarah Beckinsale and seasoned New Yorker Jonathan, John Cusack, meet by accident over a cashmere glove in Bloomingdale's. She believes in fate, yet the signs are against them. Years later, when each is unhappily betrothed to another, they both grab their best mates for an identical last fling, a quest to find the mysterious stranger who stole their hearts in New York's famous store. That is a thin plot synopsis.
Well, especially because like you don't really get a sense that at least Jonathan is unhappily betrothed.
No.
I didn't get a sense that either one of them were unhappily betrothed, except for the fact that they were obviously monster people who can't commit and thought they would hold on to this idea that there's some better thing out there because they had an hour or two. I mean, the very fact that Kate Beckinsale is playing a therapist and can't analyze herself is rather shocking, really.
Yeah, I forgot that she plays a therapist, and I was like, yikes. It's not great.
That's not the therapist I want.
But I just feel like based on like how much she could have found out about her in a few hours, like was there that much difference between the character of his fiance and Sarah?
One had an English accent, which
one did have an English accent, like that.
Yeah,
and that causes like 7 years of like, trying to find obsessively trying to find her.
I had forgotten that Bridget Moynihan and
John
Corbett were both in it. And this was like while Sex and the City was happening. So that was like a fun sort of moment for me.
Do they just like to play jilted lovers? Is that a fun...
Bridget Moynihan, actually,
Yeah.
I think there's an actual article about how she is always the jilted one in film and television.
It's like they want to put the most beautiful person they can imagine in there, so this person looks deeper somehow, that they can dump the beautiful one for the, I don't know.
Well, they make her like kind of bland. She's beautiful, but she never gets a character, so she's always kind of bland, like in everything that I've ever seen her in. And so like, but I thought that on rewatching it, I thought she tried to do a few things with Hallie that were like people didn't give a lot of credit to. Like she kind of eye rolls the best friend when he's talking about the strippers, and she corrects him and says exotic dancers, and like she's like inserting like these tiny little pieces of identity, but like they just don't give her any credit for it at all.
No, they don't. And the fact that she can figure out that he's not into this anymore.
Yeah.
And he gaslights her constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and he's a total like mansplainer.
Yes.
Like, throughout this whole movie.
Oh my
But
God.
I find that it's like if you rewatch any John Cusack movie, that's basically his character.
Oh, except High Fidelity. Just kidding. That's
oh my God. That's funny.
Yeah, at least
every once in a while you're just too dry, and then there's like a tiny space.
Yeah.
No, I love
Yeah, like at least A-Dubs didn't ask us to watch High Fidelity as our final movie this year.
Yeah.
Because that I don't know if you two have watched it in recently at all, but
no.
Yeah, it's hard to watch.
Yeah, no, I have memories of it, and they're not good, so I don't need to do that.
So, Lisa, had you seen this movie before?
I had, and I was, as a person who really likes rom-coms, I found it, I got the sort of thing they were trying to do, which, I think that the film, it's often referred to as Sleepless in Seattle, in the sense that, we have these two people trying to get together over the course of the film, so they're not actually together, but they did it without any charm or mystery or sweetness.
Yeah.
It was just all very cruel, I felt, to the people they were with. It didn't make any sense, as you said. Both of them, they weren't in terrible situations or anything like that, yet in Sleepless in Seattle, you can definitely see why there are some issues that both of these people have, and they're trying to bring themselves together.
Yeah. Well, and particularly, I thought like we don't see Sarah's breakup with Lars. We don't like we don't really see enough of the other relationships to. I guess we're just supposed to understand that like the possibility of something better means that this is obviously not enough for you. And like, that's like, but I mean, this movie is only 90 minutes. It feels like 2.5 hours long.
I thought it was very much longer. Yeah.
Like with Sarah's character, you're just like, oh, you find Lars's like talking on his cell phone all the time annoying? Like, you're looking at a lifetime of being mansplained to from Jonathan. So like,
absolutely.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Also, the man just has a job. Like when there's that scene in the club after he finishes that incredible performance in that velvet jacket.
I really love what John Corbett does with that performance.
Yeah.
I gotta give it to him.
It's kind of wild.
He's probably like he was the comedy of the movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
The Viking video as
oh my God, with Alec Guinness. Oh my God. Alec Guinness.
It's so good. But I have to say that the fact that this man was just trying to do a regular job, it's like when somebody says, hey, can we pull you aside for a minute? He's literally at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like walking into a law office and to talk to somebody, and then they have to go do something and being all put out. I
Yeah.
mean, she is completely unreasonable. Absolutely unreasonable.
Yeah. Also, she like obviously like I don't know. I just don't think like if my partner hated my art and my work and the creativity that I do to
Yeah.
make money as well as like express myself, I wouldn't want to be with them. Like if you hate your person's music, that is a hard thing I think to stick around. Like they talk about it as if like they hope it's a phase, like her and Molly Shannon, Eve, like I just it's
Like, why would she even date him in the first place if she didn't like his music at all?
And all I kept thinking is Lars is definitely an acquired taste. I didn't understand that audience that was supposed to be into him. It didn't like that. It just didn't make any sense. Why not just make him some sort of like, alt hipster sort of guy playing singer-songwriter guitar stuff? That would have made. What was with this?
I think it's 2001 and it's like we're still coming out of like and it's also like the script itself, like they're in San Francisco and Molly Shannon's character works at another like sort of like spiritual blah blah blah, and like he's doing new age music, and like San Francisco, isn't it wild how like into new age hippiedom they are, but the New York people, he's into golf at the Chelsea Piers and documentary filmmaking, and like aren't they more sophisticated? Like even the description from Time Out about him as a seasoned New Yorker and she's an English rose. Like, I mean, good Lord.
I know. I mean, it's just essentially in watching the first few minutes of this film, I was just like, you silly people, just break up with whoever and start dating each other, and no one cares.
Yeah.
Just start dating each other. No one cares.
No one cares. No one cares. And going through this, it didn't make any sense why she just wouldn't take his phone number.
Yeah.
It was stupid. So the whole movie is based on something that's dumb.
Yes.
Anyway, and then you have to go through the whole painful process of pretending that you care that either of these people get together. Nothing could be less important.
Completely agree. Like
they're already happy. They're
stakes.
already happy. There are no stakes.
There's no stakes at all.
Yeah.
But also, like, I mean, this is jumping ahead, but like when, like the scene when she's like racing back from the airport to try to stop the wedding, it's just like, honestly, did you plan to run into this hotel and scream stop? Like, what was your plan after that? To this person that you met briefly 7 years ago? Is
that The Graduate's fault for that scene that keeps popping up? Or was that a popular trope before The Graduate?
I'm sure it was popular before The Graduate because like I feel like we've seen so many films have been based on someone about to marry the wrong person. And
wasn't that the Philadelphia Story, which we already watched too?
Yeah. Like I don't think there was an official stop because like didn't they just end up sort of like getting married in separate rooms or I don't know, whatever it was. But like I mean I do think The Graduate took it to a whole new level.
Yes. Very splashy, very public.
Yeah. It's God. I mean, the other thing that's kind of so weird to me is the director, who is also a writer and actor, but he didn't write or act in this, Peter Chelsom. Like, he's kind of an interesting filmography. Like, he did the same year as Serendipity, he also released the film Town and Country, which was, like, considered wildly awful, like a failure of epic proportions. And it's
what was that about?
Warren Beatty and
Diane Keaton. I'm just looking at it here. Goldie Hawn, Gary Shandling, Andy McDowell, Jenna Elfman, Nastasia Kinski, Charlton Heston. What a cast.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this though.
One of the biggest box office flops in American history. Um,
Wow.
and the last film that Warren Beatty did before Rules Don't Apply in November 2016. So
A $90 million budget for a rom-com?
Yeah, and it made 10 million.
What do they spend the money on?
probably salaries.
Yeah, no kidding. When I'm looking, yeah.
Well, in like, I mean, the co-writers are Buck Henry and Michael Laughlin. Like, it's, you know, it had a pretty pedigree cast, and then Serendipity comes out the same year, and it's this like smash hit, and so it sort of like is a bit of a, I guess, a palate cleanser for this man's capacity and esteem as a director. And then he does Shall We Dance, the remake, with Jennifer Lopez and
Richard Gere, isn't it?
yeah. Then the Hannah Montana movie,
That's a career, hey?
and then Hector and the Search for Happiness, which I've also never seen, but is pretty like well loved. It's Simon Pegg and Rosamund Pike.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I have not
And then
seen it, but
his last
yeah.
film, The Space Between Us, in 2017, which I haven't seen. Anyway, just there's something weird about his filmography that I think is kind of also fascinating. And the Hannah Montana movie is the real outlier there.
But you're wondering what it is that people like. If a movie to me makes that much money, that means probably people went back again. Wouldn't you think?
I would imagine some people have seen
It
it a few
seems to
times.
me that those kinds of movies, like when you get that big of a box office, and I'm trying to imagine
But
why
so-
anyone would like this.
A-dubs, you were part of that initial box office.
Yep.
So what motivated you to go see the movie originally?
I mean, I don't remember. I was like, you know, it was 20
Was it
years
John
ago.
Cusack?
I think
Was he
it
a
was
box
probably
office
John
draw?
Cusack. It was probably John Cusack. I like Kate Beckinsale. Like, she's, you know, she's very young in this, and I think she's, you know, she has her own charms. Not in this, but like, you know, she's fine. She's doing her best. I don't remember what would have made me go see this movie. Because it certainly wouldn't have been either mine or my friend Emily's style. Like, we both kind of hated rom-coms. Maybe we went to hate watch it. I don't know. Honestly, that is
Possibility.
something 2001 era me would have done, is just go to a film because I hate it. Or I would like potentially hate it, or it would make me mad or something. But like, some people do love this. It's so weird. So I want to we'll go back and talk about some of the reviews and stuff, and like the way that this movie was talked about. But like, in 2019, it was announced that there was going to be a Serendipity TV show adaptation. And the person, and I don't know where it's at. I tried to find it. There's like a pilot, but I don't think anyone's seen it. I think probably a lot of stuff has been shelved due to pandemic.
Sounds exhausting already.
Yeah. Also, Miramax fell apart because it was from Miramax Television and all that other stuff. Anyway, the original, so the writer, Johnny Umansky, it was one of his projects, and he was gonna his quote, this quote honestly kills me. "I've been madly in love with this movie for more than half my life. Never has the world needed a show like Serendipity more, and the love stories we have in store are big, bold, and filled to the brim with whimsy and wonder."
So what
I
movie
don't-
is he talking about?
Exactly. Like, even if you are required to say something positive, imagine putting yourself on the record saying that you have been madly in love with this film for more than half your life.
I definitely don't want to meet you. That's for
I
sure.
just like how or why or what. Like, I need a more of an explanation.
Yeah, what particular scene really grabbed you? Sometimes I think that people confuse, because it, like, the fact that it's Garcia Marquez's Love
Yeah.
in the Time of Cholera, because
Yeah.
that book is used as the book that she writes in. People confuse that with the actual movie itself being somehow akin to a Nobel Prize winning author. But that's
Sure.
not the case at all.
That is not the case. That book, amazing. I would recommend that over and over again. Great. It, you know,
I know. Can you imagine like having a first edition of that book and like writing your name and the phone number in the front of it?
Yeah, like she wouldn't have caught. You wouldn't. It wouldn't. It would be garbage. It's garbage. She bought him a book of garbage, really, because it doesn't matter if it's a first edition if somebody wrote their name in it. And why would she do that if she valued books?
Yeah.
And why is that just in her bag? A first edition? Like what?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Also, did you see the price when they opened it up?
It's like $9.99 or something.
$9.50.
Yeah,
$9.50 in that great pencil scrawl that's like in used bookstores.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even believe I'm going to say this. There are a couple moments that I think are well acted. So I actually think that scene where she gives him the book and he has like this whole like, you know, moment that he expresses weirdly with his head down, but like you can sort of see what's happening in his shoulders, and then he looks up and he's got like those little like, you know, sort of his eyes are filled with tears or whatever. I was like, okay, you're doing
well, that maybe that's when he was summoning up the tears, like to put his head down.
Down. And they're just like, we can't ask John to do this shot again. We're gonna have to take what we can get.
Yeah.
So like that's like one moment that I thought was like, you know, sort of okay acting. And then I guess when he summons a tear when they are reunited, like whatever, like I
don't think you're obliged to have to find any golden moments out of this thing.
Oh, not golden, just like a moment that I was like, okay, like I mean, they earned their paycheck in this scene kind of thing, you know?
Well, I did find it kind of interesting. You sort of linked to Ebert's review of
That
this.
is hilarious. That is one of the funniest things I've ever read. I had to read it out loud.
Please do.
Yeah.
Please read. I didn't excerpt the whole thing, but please read it out loud.
Okay. This is fate I have no problem with. Leaving themselves in the hands of this screenplay is another matter. It bounces them through so many amazing coincidences and serendipitous parallels and cosmic concordances that fate is not merely knocking on the door. It is entered with a SWAT team and is bringing their heads together and administering poppers.
Keep going. It gets better.
Okay, yeah. That is so good. Okay, I'll keep going. John is played by John Cusack in what is either a bad career move or temporary insanity. Sarah is played by Kate Beckinsale, who is a good actress, but not good enough to play this dumb. John and Sarah have much in common. Both are missing an H. The movie puts them through dramatic and romantic situations so close to parody as to make no difference. One more turn of the screw, and this could be a satire of Sleepless in Seattle. That is a good point.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of my favorite reviews of this film.
Yeah, that is some
Yeah.
writing. Oh my gosh. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Well, and it's not, I mean, it is compared to Sleepless in Seattle a lot, but I think usually
That's so insulting.
it's
No
so insulting
kidding.
to Sleepless in Seattle.
I love Sleepless in Seattle. It's so warm and sweet.
Well,
and
and you know, like Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. Like you can't. They're both so
Rosie
charming.
O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
But that's the same, like this whole thing of like the comparisons. Usually it's not a favorable comparison. Usually it's like this film wishes it was Sleepless in Seattle. And I think I agree with that. Like this film wishes it could do that, but it's like it's just not capable of it. The Guardian review, which is pretty sexist and like not pleasurable to read, but it does have a couple of moments where it's talking about like the comparison to, you know, Serendipity's like Sleepless in Seattle, or perhaps closer to the truly sick making You've Got Mail, only with silliness in place of wit and muckishness in place of tenderness, is certainly 1,000 miles from the happy, shrewd inventiveness of When Harry Met Sally.
Wow.
Yeah.
That person has a real needs to like sort of look internally at what they're really mad about.
I agree with you completely.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, you know how so many people are always telling on themselves in their writing and in their music? That's what's happening with this man. Yeah. Yeah. He needs to spend some time just sorting that out. One of the things though that I did find interesting, and this is not about the film that's interesting, but about this sort of, so like the obvious like ways that people talk about this is like, it's just a chick flick. It's just like, and it's usually super sexist and it's usually like denigrating the film. I don't think that this film like explicitly is a chick flick, because it's like really about Jonathan's journey and it's really like super male gazy, but and honestly, like chick flicks have usually better like women characters.
But yeah, and also like as the New York Times review pointed out, that sort of the true love story in Serendipity is between John Cusack and Jeremy Piven.
Yeah,
who play
no
best
kidding.
friends.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
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 So this is kind of what's interesting to me is that Kate Beckinsale says that it's actually men who are obsessed with Serendipity, and they come up to her all the time. This is what she said in Bustle. What's funny about that movie is that if people come up to me in the street or at the store and say my favorite movie is, and they say Serendipity, 9 times out of 10, it's a man. I find it really amazing considering I've done so many movies considered guy movies. I can pretty much predict if a guy is going to come up to me and mention their favorite movie, it's always Serendipity. Although she unfortunately sees this through to a different conclusion. I was just like one line. She says it's inspiring. She believes it's inspiring. Quote, "It's a hopeful sign that they like that movie so much. All the machine guns I've fired, the boys like Serendipity better."
I think it speaks to the fact that I think the bromance between John and his friend are at the center of this movie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bromance movie. It's not a rom-com.
No.
Yeah, it's what your friend will do to take, because Molly Shannon is playing too much of this, like a smart person, like the only smart person in this entire movie, who is like, this is ridiculous. I am not coming with you on this stupid adventure. You're embarrassing yourself. That's a good friend.
She lies to her friend to get her to come to New York. Like, I
know.
Yeah.
That's awful.
not cool.
To treat her for her birthday. I mean, no, it's cruel and horrible. And she was right to call her out, and that's what she should have done.
Molly Shannon's character gets treated so poorly by everybody in this movie, because like she's sort of tricked into going on this trip thinking it's for her birthday, but it's just about her friend and her weird obsession. But then it's also like when she runs into Bridget Monahan's character in the elevator and is like, "Oh, hey, why don't you come watch my wedding rehearsal?"
Yeah, why would you want to do that?
That's a huge treat for you.
Yeah. All by yourself, just sitting in the back there. Yeah,
like,
I know.
Yeah, why don't you waste some of your life watching me walk down like
and then just come to the wedding even though I haven't seen you. Like, aren't weddings like by person, by meal, by like, this is a big wedding. It's not like a bar.
And it's canceled anyway.
Yeah.
Like that chance meeting in the elevator ate up like 24 hours of this woman's life on like garbage.
Yeah.
And then her friend ditches her to go back to San Francisco because she left Lars. Like, why does Kate Beckinsale go back to San Francisco?
Like, Lars is laying on her floor in her hotel room.
But like, she invited her friend, lied to her. It was her birthday weekend. All the woman got was like a lunch at Serendipity, which then she paid for because she's the one who took the $5.
And they got a free piece of cake.
Yeah. Like, come on. My God. She gets, I mean, okay, look, the character is I don't care for her fat shaming, but she doesn't deserve to be physically assaulted by multiple different golf implements.
No.
And like
I know they really
No.
took the best friend and just shoved her down the toilet.
they
I mean,
yeah.
why?
Again, like,
Why?
yeah,
And then Jeremy
there's-
Piven is this the good guy and you
Exactly,
know,
it's
writes
like
a
there's
beautiful
no-
letter and
Yeah.
The female friendship is not good in this movie,
No.
but the male friendship is amazing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's yeah. I mean Jeremy Piven's character, I mean Jeremy Piven in general, like yuck, but he does his job fine.
It was fine.
Yeah. I mean the friend yeah. I just and like Eugene Levy gets wasted. Like I mean, he's so good and he's so fun and they do so
Yeah.
little with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God for Schitt's Creek. That's all we can always say. He'll never have to do that role again.
Yeah, I hope not.
Can you imagine like the annoying couple who comes back to your glove station every year to celebrate their anniversary and brings champagne?
And they come when it's closing? Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
I agree with you completely. Why would you do that?
It
That's
doesn't
so
even make any
rude.
sense. Yeah, it's just rude. Like they've really tried to make this man's life suck. Like
There was another review that I read that I didn't excerpt here because it was just like so many of the reviews were so terrible, or like so many of but some of them were funny. But in one of these reviews, I think I didn't include it, but like it was like this is a couple that is going to bore every single person they meet in the future. It's going to be the thing where at a dinner party you warn your friend not to go ask John and Sarah how they met.
yeah.
Oh God,
Because it's going to be the worst story of your life.
that takes up an hour to tell.
Well, and especially when there's just no reason. Also, there's just a couple of questions that I have about, one, how does she gash her elbow just by falling on ice?
And where does he get a Band-Aid?
Where
Yeah.
does he get a Band-Aid? Where does he
pen.
get his pen?
Or a pen? Yeah.
There's nothing around him. He's gone for 2 seconds.
No, that scene feels like he literally walks off screen to like a production assistant, grabs a pen,
Yeah.
and comes back
Yeah.
on screen with a pen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a Sharpie too, which makes it easier to write with on someone's arm.
Convenient.
Yeah. Did you know that just going back to the John and Sarah though,
Yeah.
those are the names from the Terminator. Do you think they knew that?
I mean, but they're missing the H's, so that's how they're different.
Oh, that's why it's different. Okay. All right.
I mean, this is just such a nothing film. Like, I was surprised at how little there was written about its 20th anniversary this year. But like, that's how you know that this film has like almost zero traction.
But the thing is, it had a lot of traction at the beginning, and somehow it's all just died over the years. Like,
Yeah. Well, because I don't know. Like, I mean, the other thing, I mean, this is going to sound kind of bleak, but like this movie came out at TIFF like 9 days after 9/11. Or no, 2 days after 9/11. And then the film officially rolled out starting in like October or November. It kind of got positioned as like a Christmas movie. Maybe people were looking for like an intense escape and they wanted to like be in New York, and like there could be like a lot of sort of very, very specific escapism / nostalgia / like New York rah 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 kind of stuff in that initial box office. Because it was like an actual hit, you know, that year. Like
That's
it
a
was,
good guess, I think.
yeah. And so maybe, and like that just can't be sustained, you know, like it's, I don't know. It's not,
All of us
Jennifer,
are just left being completely
well, Jennifer Aniston, they wanted Jennifer Aniston for the Sarah role.
Sure.
And apparently she was
Yeah, I
like,
could see
I'm in
that.
a rom-com every week. It's called Friends. No thanks.
yeah.
And honestly,
Yeah.
Friends is like, written 10 times better than this. Like it's
funny.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, this did not make me laugh. This made me cringe and feel sad a lot for the people that they were going to screw over for no particular reason.
Yeah, I think the only points
Yeah.
that I laughed were like when I'm just gonna call him Aiden. When Aiden was doing his
Yeah.
his performance.
Oh, yeah.
Like I just love it. Like
But I
love
don't know
a
if we were
snake.
supposed to be laughing, were we?
Yeah. I love a snake dance, like when like just like an upper body snake dance while someone's holding an instrument. Like I just
And
can't get enough of that.
I love velvet. And if you can combine the snake dance and a big velvet jacket and matching slacks, sort of a pajama set, I mean...
You know, that Viking video reminds me a tiny bit of that Viking video that you were in once, Lisa.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me so happy. I haven't watched that video in a while. I should watch it again.
Just to
It's
see
on
some of my
YouTube?
fine... Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's on YouTube. Yeah.
I'll link to it in the notes.
Oh, okay. Battles and Brotherhood.
Okay.
Good. You know,
Some of my
sometimes you just
finest
need
work
to-
there, so...
It's great. Sometimes you just gotta watch your friends in a Viking metal video, and it really is the one thing that'll bring you joy.
You know, I've heard that aphorism before, but I thought, boy, that's niche, you know, and just lucky for you two, you can say, I can do that, you know?
Well, and through the magic of linking in the show notes, that can be
You
everyone's
can
truth.
too. Yeah, exactly.
So, does this movie pop?
Oh,
I'm not
please
gonna recommend
don't
it.
bother with this.
No.
No, there's no.
No. It's not even like a balloon deflating. It's just a balloon that just, you know what? Has been stepped on a lot and is like
You know what?
super
You know
Watch
what?
gross and
Sleepless
weird.
in Seattle. Just watch that instead. You'll be
Yeah.
happier.
So, whoever owns the rights to this movie could just like quietly hit delete on it, and it would be fine.
And the world will not miss it. It's
Yeah.
not necessary to have it.
Yeah, agreed. Well, we do love to, leave us on something we do recommend. And, particularly as we sort of, go into 2022, what kinds of things are you recommending that will make it a little bit better? Lisa?
Yeah, so as we've discussed here, I've been on my quest to read my 50 books. I will not hit 50. However, I finished my 40th this morning, which I still feel is an accomplishment.
job.
That's amazing.
Great
Yeah.
job.
And the novel I finished this morning is called Brooklyn by Colm Tobin. I hope that's how you say his name, Irish writer. I know that they made this into a movie a couple of years ago, Brooklyn, with Saoirse Ronan.
Yep.
And it is a really beautiful book. I went through it rather quickly. It's just over a short period of time, and I think it's from 2009. So it's just such a beautiful book. Anyway, I'm highly recommending it. If you're going to finish off the year reading anything, that wouldn't be a bad choice.
Awesome. What a great recommendation. AG, what about you?
I'm gonna recommend this TV drama. I guess it's like a black comedy, almost fantasy drama called Landscapers. It's on Crave. It stars Olivia Colman.
Oh,
And it's kind of like loosely based on a true crime of this British couple who, I guess they murder her parents and bury them in their backyard, and it's the sort of, they're only discovered 10 years later. And but it's not just like that, this, the plot of the story. It's like this movie is so beautifully done. And it's told in a really creative way that I haven't really seen before on TV. So it's very creative, very beautiful, and a very obviously well acted, with Olivia Colman in it. So I recommend that.
excellent.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's great. I am going to recommend a song from Jasmine, who was the lead singer of Weaves, a great Toronto sort of art pop punk band. So Jasmine's branching out on her own. She's pursuing a solo career. And I have been lucky enough to hear the entire record, and it's so good. And it's coming out, sometime in the new year. And I can't remember exactly what the date is on that. I should know it, but I think spring. Anyway, but there's one new song that everyone can listen to, and it's really good. And it is called Find the Light. And it's just, if you liked Weaves, you are going to love, love, love Jasmine's stuff. There's more than a few sort of sonic references and vocal, vocal high fives on the side to like Karen O and the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. And oh my God, I love it so much. So Jasmine, it's Jasmyn, and the song is called Find the Light.
Nice.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, that's a lot for everybody. There we go.
Yay. Well, thank you everyone for hanging out with us every week or however often you hung out with us. Maybe you're catching up with us. Honestly, maybe you're listening to this in 2023 and you're just like, this was interesting. Like, I like it. Like before the robots
before
came.
the world.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so that's good. I mean, hello future. We don't know where you're at, but we really have enjoyed, spending time with each other every week. Mm-hmm. I think it's really helps.
One day it'll be in person. We're hopeful.
One day.
Yeah.
And it's 2022. Just pursue it with like a neutral, cautious optimism. That's the best we can do.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I got to agree with you. And thanks again always to Andrea Gin as our producer and our co-host here, and has watched a lot of things that,
seen a lot of things.
She's seen a lot of things now this year that no person should have really ever had to see.
In some cases, twice.
Yes. Above and beyond the call of duty. That's what we should say.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Happy New Year,
everybody. Happy New Year.